This is a story about a world overrun by monsters. In one city, monsters popped up everywhere and citizens were told to evacuate right away. One of the beasts was raging out, while ability users tried to take it down. The squad leader ordered them to stop hesitating and keep firing. They did exactly that, unloading non-stop, but their attacks were barely tickling the monster. Seeing that, they lost all hope. But then, someone stepped forward. Arya, our main guy. The team leader asked him, nervous, what he was planning to do. Arya said, there is only one thing an ability user can do against monsters: attack them. The leader scolded him, saying, that is reckless. You can only reduce other people's magic power, and you cannot even cast magic yourself. While Arya stood at the front, the monster charged up its energy. At the same time, someone stood sneaky on top of a building. With a smug grin, he said, show them the pride of the parasite. Then the monster blasted a massive amount of magic straight at Arya. Arya stood there confident, raised his hand, and absorbed the monster's attack. Just like that, like it was nothing. Everyone was shocked. Then, he activated the reverse magic circle and sent the monster's attack back at it with double the damage, erasing it completely while standing calm and collected. Let us rewind a bit. Before Arya was even born, dimensional rifts appeared all over the world, summoning monsters from different dimensions. These rips that tear and spread through space can show up anywhere, and only ability users who have magic circles can defeat those monsters. 3 years ago, before Arya got strong, he was just a normal kid training hard to get stronger, while his sister sat in her wheelchair, teasing him and laughing as she wrote down his failed attempts. Now we are at attempt number 364. When she saw nothing came out this time either, she suggested he try changing his method. Normally, something should have shown up by now. He agreed. Every day, more people die at the hands of monsters. Every time a dimensional rift is found, a squad of ability users rushes to the site right away. But with only a limited number of ability users, sometimes they cannot wipe out all the monsters. So, Arya keeps pushing himself, which makes his sister worried. She suggested he take a break. The reason she is in a wheelchair is him. He blames himself every day. If only he could have used his power back then. It all started one day while they were talking about going out for a walk. Then suddenly, they got an alert about a monster appearance. Arya told his sister Sana right away that they needed to run. But then a monster showed up behind him, and she shouted to warn him. He tried to use his power, but nothing happened. The monster reached out to strike, but fast. Before the hit landed on him, she blocked the attack for him and her leg got injured in the process. Then an ability user arrived on the scene and took out the monster and was worried about her. But she was happy that Arya was unharmed. From that day on, he got tired of not being able to do anything. He wants at least to be able to protect the people who matter to him, so he kept training non-stop. His sister interrupted his training and told him to keep going and not worry about her. Then she started taking notes in a journal titled, My Big Brother's Struggle Diary. He asked her what the point was in writing stuff like that. She told him it might be useful. Even if nothing works today, that does not mean it will be the same tomorrow. He smiled. He realized his sister was right. Things will not stay the same forever. But suddenly, they felt a massive tremor. At first, they had no clue what was happening. Then, from below, they saw monsters. Arya thought it was impossible for monsters to appear because there was no dimensional rift anywhere. He wondered where those monsters came from. The monsters were in a deadly frenzy. Arya realized this was not the time to stand around. So he picked up his sister and headed home. They were relieved when they got there, thinking it was safe. She called out for mom and dad. Arya looked around. He realized the monsters had not made it this far yet. So he decided to grab his mom and dad and evacuate right away. But then the ground suddenly cracked open. He was shocked and wondered if it was a dimensional rift. Since rifts can appear anywhere, he suspected they might be expanding underground. When they saw their parents, Sana shouted in a panic to go to them. But she fell out of her wheelchair into the ground and her brother rushed from that. She called out to her big brother for help, but a monster appeared between them with a crooked smile on its face. Driven by panic, he told her to wait, that he would save her now. But the monster smacked him with its tail, sent him flying, and slammed him to the ground. He struggled to get up, but his body would not move. He wondered if he was going to die like this without being able to do anything. He saw his sister's journal and tried to grab it, gritting his teeth, refusing to give up like that. He stood up with the journal in his hand. Then the monster raised its hand to strike him, and suddenly the hero was shocked by what he saw. But the beast dropped with a single shot. A huge hole opened up in its chest, and it fell to the ground. Arya looked back in shock, realizing an ability user had saved him. The person dropped down, hoisted him up on his back, and carried him away immediately. When Arya saw that his family was still there, he asked the man to wait. His family was still inside. The man apologized because there was nothing he could do. Minutes later, Arya was taken away from the scene to where the other survivors were. He knelt in the rain, completely heartbroken. The man told him that by the time they got the report, the dimensional rift had almost fully expanded. And when a dimensional rift fully expands, the entire area is swallowed, including the city and the people. Arya clenched his teeth in anger, unable to speak. But then, the man told him that eventually they will enter another dimension. They will find the people who were swallowed. That grabbed Arya's attention right away. He asked the man if he could really go to other dimensions. The man said yes, but a civilian like him would not be able to. Thinking of his sister Sana, who still smiled even after such horrific injuries, who asked him for help for the first time, and yet he could not do anything even though he had decided to protect her. With determination surging through his body, he told the man he would go with him to other dimensions. The man never expected Arya to be an ability user. Then he told Arya that missions to other dimensions are super hard tasks, and only ability users at the national level get permission for them. Arya told him with determination that he would become one of them. Seeing his resolve, the man said nothing else, then closed his eyes. He told Arya that to reach that level, he first has to place first at the Ability User Training Academy. Then, Arya asked what happens to the people swallowed by the other dimension. The man told him there is no clear information. Now, days later, Arya arrived at the academy, determined to save his family by going to the other world, even if the chance of saving them was low. Now, after days at the Ability User Training Academy, a place where only ability users aged 15 and up are allowed to enroll, a place where they sharpen their techniques every day to defeat monsters. The classes, designed for real combat, are so harsh they sometimes lead to injuries, especially for people with low abilities like Arya. Arya was training. The instructor sighed in disappointment and wrote his evaluation as E. At the school, an ability user's magic power can be increased somewhat through training. If you lack talent, you have no choice but to make up for it with effort. That is the situation Arya lives in, but his case is worse. He cannot output any magic power even after trying. While he was training, Hirota Yasushi showed up with his gang. He told Arya he wishes he would just go home already. He is getting in the way of their training. It is annoying that he stays in the room for hours every day. Arya told him he did not mean to bother him. The guy charged energy in his hand and told Arya not to get the wrong idea. No matter what he thinks, he is a nuisance to him. Then he fired at the target in front of Arya, forcing Arya to dodge. His evaluation came in at B+. The guy told Arya that normally he should easily get an A, but when he is near him, his output drops every time. Another guy smirked, saying he wishes Arya would just quit already. Arya could not say anything. He just stood there because they were not wrong. Hours later, he got back to his dorm and told himself in a frustrated tone that there are individual differences in the abilities of ability users. But even so, usually anyone can at least release some magic power. Yet he cannot do even something that simple. Not only that, he actually lowers other people's output. Now, they are all on a field trip, hiking along a mountain path. The instructor told them excitedly not to break formation. You never know when a dimensional rift might show up, so they have to get used to uneven terrain. Suddenly, a big rock fell from above and almost crushed a student's head, but Arya was fast enough to pull him out of the way. The guy's name was Ibuki Naoto. He thanked Arya for saving him, but Arya told him not to worry about it, helping each other as a team is the rule for ability users. Then a man ran up to Arya in a panic, saying there was an injured person on the other side and asking for help. Arya went to check it out, but the guy smirked behind him and shoved him off the edge. Hirota and his crew looked down from the cliff. Arya asked what the hell they were doing, and they told him he was in their way. Sure, ability users help each other as a team, but having him on the team was a different story. If someone like him drags down the team's output, everyone's output will tank. Arya did not know what to say, and the bully kept going. So pushing him down was not bullying, it was actually helping everyone else. He needed to disappear for the good of all. After that, the guy smashed a rock to trigger a rock slide. Arya dodged the falling stones right away, but one nailed his leg and he hit the ground, groaning in pain. He dropped his bag and tried to calm down and treat his leg, but a monster attacked him with its tentacles. He clenched his teeth, worried. Having a monster show up right now was really the worst timing. He said there was no way this was where he died. To his surprise, he noticed the dimensional rift behind him, but its color was different from normal rifts. Seeing the monsters closing in, he remembered what other ability users said about dimensional rifts connected to another dimension. So, instead of dying there, he decided to gamble and jumped into the rift. But the rift he saw was not what he expected. he heard a voice say, "A visitor. How many years has it been?" He spun around and was shocked to see a monster and stunned that it could talk. The monster walked toward him and said, "Strange. A normal human should not be able to sense the rift." It paused, then laughed like it figured something out. It welcomed Arya and told him he was the child of revolution, the one it had been waiting for, the bearer of the reverse magic circle that flips the laws of the world. Arya did not get what he was hearing. Then it told Arya to cheer up because it would open his future. He would be able to get a great power that swallows everything in the world. Arya was stunned and eyed the monster with suspicion, thinking its words were ridiculous. Accepting a monster's offer was the lowest thing someone chosen could do. But when he remembered his sister's face, he wondered if he could really achieve anything while staying weak. He still had not found any clue about how to use his power. When the man saw monsters outside converging on the rift, he told Arya they had come for him. He muttered, "Just a bunch of nobodies." Then, he activated his magic, and Arya was shocked. Sword-like weapons formed in the air, and he fired them at the monsters. Arya could not believe a monster was attacking other monsters. The man told him he bowed to no one. He was a liberated one, not an ally of monsters, and not an ally of mortal humans either. Then he told Arya to choose, gain power and carve his way through death, or become prey for the monsters. Seeing Arya stay silent, he told him to name his terms. He was seriously impressed that Arya stayed calm even in a situation like this, thinking he was trying to judge him on his own. He smirked and said that even though negotiating with humans disgusted him, this was a chance he could not pass up. Outside the rift, up on the cliff, Hirota asked one of his guys if they saw any trace of Arya's body. The answer was no. Hirota found it annoying, since it would be trouble if Arya survived. Then he got an alert about monsters nearby, but he was not scared. He actually smiled because it was the perfect chance to finish Arya off for good. No way he could escape with those injuries. They did not know someone heard their conversation. Back in the rift, the man asked Arya if he knew why he could not fire magic despite having a magic path. Arya stayed quiet. If he knew, he would not be in this mess. The man said, "A magic path. At its core, it is a device that gathers magic power produced inside the body and fires it out like a cannon. So if you have a magic path, you should be able to shoot magic." But in his case, he grabbed Arya's arm, blue lines showing up. "It is reversed." Arya did not understand what that meant. The monster said, "Reversed means you do not fire magic outward, you absorb it inward. It is a reverse magic path. A trait so rare, it is basically unheard of in all of history." Arya started to get it bit by bit and wondered if that was why everyone around him had their magic output drop. He remembered what happened with the bully. Then the monster said they should test it for real, and waved its hand. Monsters came in. One of them fired a breath attack. The monster told Arya not to be scared. An attack like that is just another release of magic power. He told Arya to flip his usual focus. Arya reached out his hand, and when the monster blasted a magic beam at him, it got sucked into his hand. He was stunned by the discovery. The monster told Arya, "Every human other than you only knows how to shoot power outward. That is why you never knew how to tap your ability." The monster tried to attack again and Arya dodged it. Arya told the man that even if the reverse magic circle was great for defense, it would be useless if he could not fire magic. The man appeared behind him and asked if Arya could endure pain that shatters the soul. Like he said, Arya could gain power to swallow the world, but all he needed was will. Arya said with confidence that he was totally ready. There was something he had to do, so he would not give up because of pain. The man said, "Good," then injected something into his body. Instantly, Arya felt sharp pain, dropped to his knees, and groaned. He asked what the man did to him, and the man said he planted a reverse mechanism in his magic path. If he activated it, he could fire magic temporarily. So now he had to unleash it on the monsters and destroy anything in his way. Arya did exactly that. He thrust his hand forward and fired a massive amount of magic power, wiping the monsters out completely. The man smiled and told him he had a huge amount of magic power stored inside his body, built up from everything he had absorbed, basically a walking magic reservoir. But before he could finish, Arya collapsed. The man noticed people were already approaching, probably because they had stayed in one place too long, and said Arya would be working with him from now on. Outside the rift, there were ability users. They scanned the whole area, but could not find any trace of monsters, even though the readings showed they were right there. Then, one of them spotted someone sitting there unconscious with dead monsters in front of him. They were shocked that a student took out all those monsters alone. One of them, surprised, recognized Arya as the guy he saved. Sometime later, Arya woke up in a hospital bed. His trainer was beside him and asked what happened. Arya went quiet for a moment, then started explaining. A few minutes later, after the instructor left, he got out of bed. He told himself he could only talk to the trainer indirectly. He could not tell him he had dealt with monsters. He looked at his hand and the power he had just gotten, wondering if someone like him could make use of this trait and climb the ranks. The next day, he went back to the training hall. He stretched his hand toward the target, remembering that feeling from before, but a sharp pain stabbed his chest. It felt like his muscles and nerves were burning, but he decided that level of pain was nothing. Then he fired a huge blast of magic energy, shattering the target. Even the system could not measure his magic power. He dropped to his knees, trying to catch his breath. Even holding back, he never expected it to hit that hard. He figured it could be handy as a trump card, but the exhaustion afterward was brutal, so using it non-stop was basically impossible, and he could not fight a whole battle with just one technique. Then Ibuki came up behind him with a serious look on his face. Arya asked what was wrong. Ibuki said there was something he wanted to confirm. He asked if that landslide was Hirota and his crew's doing. He had heard Hirota and the others talking during the outdoor training. Arya was shocked. Ibuki clenched his teeth in anger and said, "That is way too cruel and unforgivable. I am going to report it to the academy." Arya asked why he wanted to report it. After a moment of silence, Ibuki answered, "If people with power abuse it, this world is done. Do you not think so?" He added, "Maybe it is idealistic, but at the very least, academy students should aim for a better life without exploiting their power." Arya smiled and said, "All right." Even though he had no intention of forgiving Hirota and his crew, he wanted to focus on training himself now. Ibuki agreed. Neither of them knew Hirota had heard their conversation. A little later, at the faculty office door, Ibuki was about to go in, but Hirota stopped him. He dragged him to a corner and shoved him to the ground with his crew. Hirota told Ibuki that pretending to be kind was not going to get him anywhere in life. So instead of sticking his nose in other people's business, he should go home and study. Ibuki clenched his teeth in anger, then told Hirota and his crew they were losers, which made Hirota furious. People who kill humans do not deserve to be ability users. Hirota started firing spells at Ibuki, saying, "Trash like you, rank B, should not lecture me about qualifications," then blasted him with magic. He grinned, all happy, and told Ibuki to come on, defend yourself. No matter how high and mighty you talk, you are helpless without power. Ibuki told him confidently that an ability user's power is not for hurting others. Hirota did not care, because Ibuki looked wiped out despite all his big talk. He said he would break his spirit so he would not think about butting in again. Then he fired even stronger spells at Ibuki, not caring if he got wrecked completely. But Arya suddenly stepped in and blocked them. Everyone was shocked. Hirota could not believe his eyes. He had no idea why Arya was totally fine even after he unleashed his magic. Then, he decided to blast Arya with even more magic to see if he could still hold up. Arya had a hard time blocking everything because his awareness could not keep up with the simultaneous attacks. The two other guys laughed and told Arya to stop acting cool. While Hirota was drowning in his own power, Arya suddenly appeared in front of him and grabbed his hand. He told Hirota that someone like him, drunk on power and always putting others down, could not compare to Ibuki. Right away, Hirota realized something was wrong. His magic power was draining at a ridiculous speed. Then he fell to his knees. Arya figured if his ability absorbs magic energy, what happens if he uses it directly on someone else's magic circle? Just like he thought, Hirota's power got completely drained. The two guys freaked out and nervously asked Arya what he did. Arya told Hirota, "Using magic power on humans puts your qualifications as an ability user in question, so I will use a different kind of power instead. 1 against 3 is not unfair." The next day at school, the teacher walked into class and checked the attendance list. He announced that Hirota was absent again. Arya wondered if what he did yesterday finally taught Hirota a lesson, but then, the teacher dropped a bigger announcement. The class promotion exam between sections was happening next week, so he pushed everyone to take it seriously. Talent users are ranked by their magic power, but teamwork and other factors get judged too. Arya's class was in the lower tier, mostly students with weak magic output or bad teamwork skills, like Hirota. The future of upper and lower classes was totally different. Only the top classes could join expeditions into dimensional rifts. Arya decided he had to move up, no matter what. Right then, Ibuki walked up and asked Arya if he had a minute. After Arya agreed, the classmate asked if he was taking the promotion exam too, and suggested they study together. He smiled and said he wanted to become someone who could support others. Arya brushed off the compliment but accepted. If they were doing this together, they were aiming for the top. They shook hands, and the classmate answered with confidence. One of the girls was watching them. Later, at the Talent User Training Center, Arya and Ibuki got ready to train. It was a simulation facility where users could fight virtual monsters. Before they started, Ibuki suggested reviewing last year's exam. Arya explained it was a dungeon clearing type based on dimensional rift combat. They watched the footage, and Ibuki said the user looked strong, but Arya disagreed. He explained that users who lack coordination skills often run out of magic power, especially when dealing with blind spots or group fights. Ibuki realized the person in the video was about to run out of energy and agreed that solo-minded fighters were not ready for missions. Arya stood up and asked Ibuki to help him train coordination. Ibuki agreed right away. They geared up, put on the sim lenses, and picked a scenario with a mid-sized rank D monster. Training started, and when the monster appeared, Arya stepped forward to draw its attention while Ibuki attacked from behind with blue flames. But mid-fight, Ibuki started to weaken and sweat hard. Arya noticed and thought to himself, Ibuki was rank B, and yet, he was already exhausted, fighting a rank D monster. Arya suspected it was because of his own special ability, his passive magic energy absorption. Just being near him was draining Ibuki's power. Arya felt frustrated. He could not control the absorption. He wondered if it was due to lack of training. He needed to master it. In the end, they beat the monster. The system confirmed the mission complete. Ibuki dropped to the ground, sighing that his stamina had clearly gotten worse. He did not know why he tired out so easily. But Arya knew it was not Ibuki's fault. It was because of his own ability. He remembered what Hirota once said, talent users work as a team. But in Arya's case, if he joined a team, it was like subtracting one member. Everyone's output dropped because of him. He admitted to himself that with things the way they were, teamwork only held others back. Meanwhile, nearby, Kurano was finishing her own sim. She charged her sword with lightning, and in a flurry of strikes, shredded a massive monster. She cleared the scenario in seconds. Seeing Kurano's simulation, Ibuki was stunned. He had heard that Arya's entire family were talent users. Arya confirmed it, saying it looked like she had relatives in a monster combat specialty, but then wondered why someone like Kurano was in the same lower tier class. The answer was teamwork. Ibuki walked up to her and asked if she wanted to train with him, but Kurano waved him off. She said she did not have time and there was nothing to learn from people in the lower class, so he should not get in her way. Arya stepped in, pointing out that coordination was a core category in the exam. Since they were in the lowest class, did that not mean they needed to work together? Kurano smiled and said that might be true for normal people, but the promotion exam uses a cumulative scoring system. As long as she maxed out the ability score, teamwork did not matter. She turned away, confident she would prove her worth without any group work, even if the examiners were blind, and Arya did not say anything after that. That night at Arya's house, he lay on his bed, thinking about Kurano's words. A cumulative scoring system meant individual performance could be enough. Even so, he knew relying on short bursts of strength would not be enough to reach the top. He needed another plan. After an unknown amount of time, Arya suddenly woke up. There was a loud system announcement, all units in position. Transport prep complete. The exam had officially begun. Arya checked his phone. It was already morning. He looked out the window and stepped outside. The school grounds had turned into a desert, the perfect battlefield. The instructors had reshaped everything for the test. The announcer continued, students must wear their uniforms, deploy immediately, rescue designated targets, and reach the rendezvous points before the deadline. Arya got dressed and checked his phone again. The map showed the rescue targets. He let out a dry chuckle. So they were turning the classrooms now. He understood that dimensional rifts could appear anytime, anywhere. The school wanted them ready for the unexpected. Fully geared, Arya headed to the training zone. He figured the mission was simple: rescue the targets and reach the rendezvous point. But at this academy, nothing was ever simple. Suddenly, he heard a loud scream behind him. He rushed toward it and was shocked by what he saw. Kurano was sitting on the ground, terrified, surrounded by insect monsters. She screamed that she was not okay. They were about to attack her. Arya assessed the situation. The monsters ran on magic power. That meant he could handle them. He reached out and activated his absorption skill. The monsters collapsed one by one as their energy drained. He made sure the area was clear and told Kurano she was safe now. But instead of thanking him, she stood up, brushed herself off, and acted like nothing happened. Arya asked if she was scared of bugs. She yelled that she was not. She just was not feeling well today. Arya let it go, but reminded her more monsters could show up. They needed to keep moving. They continued across the desert terrain with Arya in front and Kurano following. After a while, Arya turned around and told her she was drifting too far. He asked her to get closer. Kurano told him not to worry. He said he was not worried, but their actions were being monitored. If they could not show teamwork, their scores would drop. She reminded him she did not care about coordination. He said he understood, but asked her to at least keep up communication for appearances. Then Arya checked his phone. The next rescue target was on the 3rd floor of a nearby building. He suspected monsters might be clustered nearby. Arya finally reached the target location and started thinking up a strategy to take down the monster. But before he could act, a massive snake launched an attack, smashing the nearby rocks. Arya used his skill to absorb the monster's mana, but it did nothing. He realized the magic gap between this monster and the smaller ones was way too big. He could not stop its movements. At that moment, Kurano shouted at him to move. She leapt forward, lightning running through her sword, and struck the monster. Her first hit with a magic purging blade landed hard, restraining its movements. But it was not enough. The monster started spitting acid. Arya shouted to warn her, but Kurano shifted her sword into an axe and got ready to finish it. Using a magic purging hammer, she slammed it with force and split it in half. She smirked as the system confirmed the kill. They did it. The monster was dead, but the ground started shaking violently. Before they could react, the floor collapsed beneath them and they fell several stories. They crashed hard, surrounded by scattered debris. Arya stood up, wincing, and quickly asked Kurano if she was hurt. She said she was fine, but noticed a wound on his chest. Arya said it was nothing. Kurano started apologizing. If she had been more careful, the collapse would not have happened. But Arya asked why she was putting so much pressure on herself. This was not her only chance to rank up. She did not need to overdo it. Tears gathered in her eyes as she explained. Her parents and all her siblings had top-tier talent, but she was always different. Her father scolded her constantly, saying she could not even train properly. At 5 years old, he locked her outside for failing. She remembered, begging, promising she would work harder. Since then, she poured everything into training. She had no memories of friends or play, only effort. Arya reached out his hand. He said he wanted to succeed to prove himself, and so did she, so they should do it together. She looked at him, surprised. With tears in her eyes, she shook his hand. But he looked up and said they had fallen deep into the rubble. They needed to get out fast. Suddenly, Kurano flinched. A new monster appeared. A huge, disgusting millipede. He asked Kurano to stay calm. This one was smaller than the last. With her power, they could handle it. Arya rushed forward to draw its attention. He asked Kurano to focus her mana and take it out in one clean strike. But Kurano realized her mana was depleted. She wondered if she had used too much on the last monster. Arya, still running, knew the truth. It was his fault. Being near her had drained her mana again. He cursed himself inside. All he did was take, and now she was left defenseless. Then he remembered something that person told him. He had absorbed massive amounts of mana, enough to be a walking mana tank. If he focused, he might be able to use it, not for himself, but for others. So he tried. He reached his hand toward Kurano and activated a skill, Reflection System. Mana flowed out of him, shifted midair into Kurano's attribute, and entered her body. It synced instantly. She gasped. The mana was flowing again. She did not understand how that was possible. This was not something normal talent users could do, but Arya told her he could. She just needed to believe in herself. They could kill the monster together. Focused, Kurano tells herself this monster is nothing, and she's taking it down. She pulls out one of her strongest skills, the magic purification rod, and smacks the beast right in the gut. Instant kill. She lets out a relieved breath. Arya walks up like, they finally did it. Then he's like, let's head back and finish the rescue. Arya asks if they can climb out by stacking rubble, but Kurano says no need. She points to a staircase she formed using mana. Her trait is mana conversion. She explains that types of mana differ. Some are great at raw output, others at shaping and control, and some, like hers, at conversion. She can freely create things using her own mana. Later, they reach the target. Arya places his hand on them to confirm the rescue. Kurano follows. Then Arya says it's time to move to the next point. But before they leave, Kurano stops him and thanks him for saving her earlier. Arya's confused. Kurano explains that mana transfer is super rare. It requires changing your mana to match someone else's type. He admits he didn't know that. He was just focused on syncing with Kurano's circle and acted on instinct. Luckily, it worked. Then, Kurano apologizes for how she treated him before. She says he probably had to work harder than her because of her background. She asks if he wants to team up from now on. Arya agrees. They'll do their best to succeed. Kurano thanks him. From there, they head out to rescue more targets. Arya pulls aggro from the monsters. Kurano wipes them out. Even when her mana drops, Arya feeds her mana through the reflection system. Eventually, after multiple fights and rescues, they collapse outside, drenched in sweat. Kurano asks Arya if he's okay. He nods, but in his head, he admits using the reflection system over and over is draining him. Kurano's exhausted too. She breaks it down. Most talent teams have a frontliner and a backliner. While one fights, the other rests. They rotate. But she and Arya can't rotate at all. If a large class monster shows up now, they're in trouble. They're both tapped out. And then it happens. A huge monster sneaks up behind Arya. Kurano screams at him to move. He ducks at the last second, barely dodging the hit. Arya looks up. No doubt it's a large class monster. Without letting up, the thing fires a dragon-like breath attack. Kurano pops a barrier and shields them, but the nonstop breath starts wearing her down, and Arya notices. The barrier cracks. Right before it shatters, backup arrives, a group of students led by a red-haired guy. He orders his team into a proper formation with a front and back line, and they coordinate their attacks from all sides. Once the monster weakens, the red-haired guy steps in for the finisher. He drops a final skill, a massive strike that deletes the monster. Then, he turns to the group and celebrates the takedown. Kaneyama looks more pleased than his team, even though they did most of the work. He walks over to Arya and Kurano, reminding them they were in serious danger earlier. Arya agrees and thanks him. Kaneyama, son of the startup Sentinel's founder, says it's still surprising to see Arya and Kurano working together. His family's company grew fast by leveraging dispersion ability users. With heavy financial backing, Kaneyama got elite training, and even though his magic ability is average, his knowledge is exceptional. Arya compliments his team's coordination, top-tier stuff. Kaneyama downplays it, saying, Sentinel always equips teams for coordination. Hearing that, Kurano thinks to herself, their teamwork still needs work. If they can't coordinate, their exam scores will take a hit. She wants to ask Kaneyama for tips on team coordination, but hesitates, wondering if that would be overstepping. Right as she's about to speak, Arya straight up asks Kaneyama if they can join his team for the next part of the test. He admits they want to learn coordination and their mana is running low. Kaneyama smiles and says he does not mind, but right then, one of his teammates, Energy, collapses behind him. He quickly asks if she's okay. The others say Energy looks exhausted and ask what they should do. After a short pause, Kaneyama says they should rest before heading to the next target. Arya and Kurano help Enaji over to a rest platform. Kurano gives her some water and asks if she's okay. Enaji says she just needs a moment. Then Arya asks why she chose to join Kaneyama's team even though they do not seem close. Enaji says it is simple. Kaneyama knows what he is doing. She figured she would get better results sticking with him, but Arya notices something. If someone like Enaji, a frontliner, is this worn out, Kaneyama's been deliberately avoiding switching roles. He says that is weird, given Kaneyama's reputation. Then he suggests Enaji leave the team. It is obvious they are using her. Suddenly, Enaji explodes in anger. She yells that it is none of his business, stands up, and storms off. Outside, she walks up to Kaneyama and apologizes for making him wait. He asks how she is feeling. She says she is fine. Kaneyama smiles and says he expected that. He tells her not to worry. Even if she collapses in the middle of the test, as long as she earns his trust, he will write her a recommendation to his father's company. Later, the group reaches their next spot. They are standing on top of a cliff overlooking a building below. Kaneyama says the next rescue target is inside, but the drop is too steep to go straight down. One teammate suggests building mana footholds. Enaji nods. They create a mana platform descending from the cliff to the base of the mountain. Enaji, already exhausted, helps shape the foothold while gasping, and Arya notices. Even so, Kaneyama gives the order to move out. The group goes down and reaches the building, but then, swarms of giant bat monsters fill the sky. Arya and Kaneyama are caught off guard. These are predator-type bats that target the weakest in the group, and right now, that is Enaji. While Arya and Kurano engage the bats, Kaneyama turns to Enaji and asks her to summon a shield for him. She says she can, but her vision is going blurry. Her strength gives out and she collapses. Kaneyama looks at her with disgust. He has had enough. In a fit of rage, he kicks her down the stairs. Enaji tumbles, stunned. Her eyes go wide in disbelief as tears spill out. She hits the ground and blacks out for a moment. A swarm of bats gathers around her, ready to attack. Kurano quickly throws a shield around her to keep the bats off. Meanwhile, Arya blasts multiple enemies using the reflection system, clearing the area in an instant, which surprises Kaneyama. They rush to Enaji's side and ask if she is okay. Kaneyama, emotionless, tells the group they are skipping this target and moving to the next. He signals the rest of his team to follow. As he is leaving, Arya shouts after him. How can he abandon a teammate? Kaneyama smirks. He says, Enaji was never a teammate, just a calculated step. This is strategy, cut the dead weight. Arya is furious. He demands how Kaneyama can say something that cruel. Kaneyama answers calmly. This promotion test means nothing to him. His future is already secured. What matters is showing the qualities his father values: decisiveness, self-control, and manipulation. He has to prove his competence, and that means getting rid of burdens. Then, without another word, Kaneyama turns to leave. Suddenly, Enaji moves. She wakes up in a daze. Kurano rushes to her. Arya helps her up and tells her what happened, how Kaneyama shoved her and left her as bait. She freezes. Then it hits her. It was all set up, but she forces herself to speak. She says she needs the recommendation. She has no other option. Her family needs help with medical bills and just surviving. Being from the lower class, this exam is her only hope. Enaji begs Kaneyama. She needs the Sentinel recommendation. It is her only shot at making it. But Kaneyama bursts out laughing. He says she never understood anything. She was never considered for a recommendation. Inagi freezes. Kaneyama explains further. All of Sentinel's clients are rich. They cannot risk trusting a poor girl who might sell their data or leak their secrets. That is why she was easy to use. He says he kept her around thinking she would be a decent shield. But now she is cut. Inagi stands there, motionless, unable to process it. She shakes her head, denying it. She says it cannot be true. He could not have been exploiting her this whole time. Arya's anger hits the ceiling. His body flares up with aura. He starts sucking mana from the staircase Inagi made, including the platform under Kaneyama and his crew. In seconds, the stairs vanish. Kaneyama and his team drop from up high and slam into the ground hard. Kaneyama drops to his knees and yells, "This has to be Arya's doing." Arya tells him he stepped on Inagi's dignity and he needs to apologize, but Kaneyama stands up and mocks him. He says Arya is acting like some justice icon just because he mastered a few weird powers. He warns that if Arya gets in his way again, he will be eliminated. His team immediately gets ready to attack. Flames, blades, and magic are all primed. Kaneyama gives the signal. The girl on his team fires off explosive flames. Arya dodges in the air, but another member rushes in with a sword. Arya twists and barely avoids the strike. Before he can catch his breath, Kaneyama launches a barrage. Arya blocks and staggers, barely holding on. He notices their coordination movement control with mana manipulation followed by tight, close quarters pressure. It is clean and brutal. He wonders if he can break through it. Kaneyama sneers. If he is already tired, why not step in close before he collapses? He might stand a chance in close combat. That is when Arya realizes Kaneyama knows his ability. Kaneyama confirms it. As a businessman, he is always gathering intel. He knows Arya's power relies on absorbing other people's mana. Suddenly, one of Kaneyama's crew rushes in to land the finishing blow. But before the hit lands, something unexpected happens. The attacker is the one who drops. In that instant, Arya summons a sword made by converting mana. Kaneyama is shocked. He demands to know how Arya can use mana conversion too. Arya focuses inward. He uses the same method he used to pass mana to Kurono. He gathers just the right energy for conversion, fires it through the reflection system, and it works. He raises his hand again, now summoning a volley of converted mana behind him. He is freely manipulating the energy. Kaneyama's eyes go wide. He cannot believe it. Arya is switching mana types mid-fight and shaping them with precision. Without wasting time, Arya launches the attacks at Kaneyama, but a teammate quickly shields him. At this point, Kaneyama knows Arya is already exhausted and fully drained of mana. Arya's body is shaking, sweat covers his face. He can barely stand. He whispers to himself. He overused the reflection system. It is on cooldown now, but something else is off. He feels like his body is boiling and empty at the same time. Kaneyama laughs and mocks him. He orders his team to finish it. One more hit will drop Arya. Kurono tries to step in, but she is drained too. Then she warns Arya not to push himself any further. His mana is dangerously low, but Arya is not listening. He is in a daze. He thinks, so this is mana exhaustion. Hot, endless, and empty. Then he asks Kaneyama to stop. Kaneyama ignores him. He says it is over and gives the order to end it. But something changes. Dark mana starts leaking out of Arya's body. The ground cracks around him. The air warps. The dark energy spreads outward, reaching Kaneyama and his entire team. Suddenly, they start sweating uncontrollably. Their limbs shake. Mana leaks out of their circles like it is being forcibly drained. Kaneyama panics. He keeps his distance from Arya. This is not supposed to be possible. And yet, his power is fading. Arya has unintentionally activated a deeper tier skill, Mana Circle Inversion. He reaches out his hand and fires the ability at full power. All the mana around him, including Kaneyama's team's mana, is sucked into him. Arya closes his eyes. He can feel it. His circle fully sinks and recharges. In seconds, Kaneyama drops to one knee. His teammates completely pass out. Arya stands over him, exhausted but steady. He asks if Kaneyama has changed his mind about apologizing. Kaneyama screams that he will never apologize. Then he bolts. As he runs, his father's words echo in his head. Never lose. Always control others. Stay on top. He swears revenge. He will regroup and crush Arya next time. But right then, the bat monsters swarm back, fast and hungry. Kaneyama freezes. He remembers their pattern. They always target the weakest. And right now, he is the weakest. He covers his head, helpless and terrified. Then a wave of dark mana sweeps the area and wipes the bats instantly. Kaneyama looks up. It is Arya. Kaneyama asks why Arya saved him. Arya does not answer. He says one thing, apologize to Inagi. That is all he wants. Cornered and powerless, Kaneyama finally turns to Inagi and mutters an apology. The exam is over. Meanwhile, in the exam council, the instructors are watching the whole simulation. One of them comments that Arya resolved the situation. Finally, they can relax. The headmaster smiles dryly and glances at the woman next to him. He jokes that even though she is busy, she came to watch a lower class trial. Is there someone she is keeping an eye on? The woman replies calmly, "It is not that, but promising students get snatched up quickly." She adds that the chairman simply asked her to check on them while they are still in the nest. Back to Arya, Kurono tells Inaba she is going to call security. To her surprise, Inaba stands up and walks toward Kenyama. She tells the sorry-looking guy, looking back now, waving that job offer just to trick people that is fraud, right? But none of that matters anymore. A company with a sleazy CEO like you. I do not want to be part of it. I will prove myself without your help. After a bit, support arrives by helicopter to treat the injured. Arya tells Inaba she is stronger than he thought. She answers that she decided to do whatever it takes for her family. Depression will not fill her stomach. Then she thanks Arya for everything. Arya tells her not to worry about it. She says goodbye to Arya as she heads to the helicopter. With a jealous look, Kurono tells Arya they should head to their next point. Arya says, "Alright," then wonders if she is mad about something. She shows him the map. It points to a big group of victims straight ahead. Arya agrees, but says there has to be a reason no one has managed to rescue them yet. Either way, they need to check it out. Minutes later, they reach the site. They can see the monsters have gathered in basin-like terrain, and the victims are trapped in the building in the center. Arya tells Kurono that even if they use shields and rush in, they will be in serious trouble once their mana runs out, but a few teams working together might be able to pull it off. To his surprise, he sees Ibuki and his team in the middle, fighting the monsters. The monsters keep attacking non-stop. Ibuki tells his teammates that if there really are people trapped in that building, they have to help them now. They just have to push forward, even if it exhausts them. The guy disagrees and asks if he is serious right now. Ibuki answers, "Yeah, that is our job, right?" But the guy tells him he should know the school rules too. If anything happens during a class drill, no one is responsible. If they die here, it is over. Then a beast spider shows up behind him. Before he can react, it sprays him with venom and he cannot breathe. Ibuki immediately casts a spell on him and goes to check the guy. Seeing this, the girl turns to leave. She tells Ibuki the monster's venom is lethal. If the guy is not treated within 10 minutes, he will not make it. Ibuki tells her his life or death depends on them right now. It will be fine if they break through the monsters and carry him to the medical station. She refuses. She tells Ibuki he has got to be joking. She is out. She is not risking her life, worrying about others in this mess, so she will spend the rest of the time protecting herself. Then she runs off, saying goodbye. As she leaves, Ibuki looks at the weakened guy and tells himself he swore to live with dignity as an ability user and as a human being. He remembers when he was still a kid, they announced a dimensional rift had been found, so everyone had to evacuate immediately. His father told him it was okay. The ability unit would be there soon. Ibuki was not scared back then, because he had seen it on the news a million times. His father told him with a smile that he would become one of them someday. But to everyone's shock, a monster broke into the shelter and people ran in a panic. Even the ability users ran, which stunned him, and his father died, protecting him. That day, many ability users abandoned their posts, and the defensive line collapsed. 70% of the evacuees were slaughtered. So ever since, he refuses to run like a fool. He picks the guy up to leave, but more spiders surround them and start spraying venom. He pinches his nose shut, struggling through it. Up above, Kurono asks Arya if he is really sure about the plan. Arya says yes, then tells her to do it. From above, he drops into the middle. Ibuki is shocked to see him. Kurono calls Arya reckless as usual for flying in via catapult. Arya tells Ibuki they are breaking the siege. Ibuki is surprised. Arya launched himself like that. Arya asks about the injured student. Ibuki says he needs immediate medical treatment, then asks how they are getting out of the siege. Then the earth sword pierces down. Kurono sent it. She used her remaining power on it. Arya grabs the sword, ready to fight. He knows the reflection system is still unusable, but with the strength he has built and the bonds he has formed, he will break through the siege for sure. Then, with one swing, he wipes out several spiders. Ibuki is stunned by Arya's insane power. He thinks to himself that most ability users prioritize boosting magic power above all else. Even if you train your body, your win rate only climbs by 1%. Not giving up on that is what makes Arya who he is, and it is what Ibuki does not think he can do himself. Minutes later, Arya tells him they will reach the medical station soon. Then the guy collapses. Ibuki checks his body and sees it is starting to cool, and his pulse is barely there. Then two spiders appear behind him. He quickly activates his circle and fires at them, but his magic power is already spent. He grits his teeth, frantic, refusing to put the guy in more danger. Even though it is normal to run when you have no choice, he refuses to do it, knowing that if he was going to run, he would not have come in the first place. Then he shields the guy with his own body as the spiders close in. Seeing this, Arya raises his sword immediately to cut the monsters down. The weapon, magic-made weapons are strong, but they do not last long. I do not care, even if it is just my hands. I will carve my own path. He wipes out the monsters, then goes to Ibuki and wakes him up. When Ibuki comes to, he asks, Arya, what about him? Arya goes, yeah, awesome as always. Suddenly Ibuki struggles, so he says, right then our guy goes. Most of those monsters' attacks rely on magic power, which means the poison is probably made by converting that same energy. If that is really the case, Ibuki snaps, what are you doing? Arya tells him, I will take that pain off you. Ibuki starts getting better and says, I feel like my body got lighter. Arya keeps working, drawing out the energy from the guy's body. I took about half the poison. You should be able to hold out a bit longer. I will explain later. We need to reach the medical station first. Arya narrates. From there, it was a desperate sprint to the medical station, and the moment we got there, I blacked out. At the medical station, when he wakes up, he is surprised to see Sensei and asks, the time limit passed, did I fail? Sensei tells him, you and Kurono cleared it before time ran out. Kurono saved a large number of targets. Sensei remembers when Kurono said, that was not my achievement alone. Check the data. I reached them because Arya opened the way for me. Even if you split it evenly, it easily crosses the pass line. Arya asks, what about Ibuki? Sensei answers, he finished treatment a little while ago and left. Said he has something he must do. As your homeroom teacher, I am happy, and at the same time, I feel a bit lonely. Arya says, thanks for everything you have done for us so far. Somewhere else, our boy stands in front of his new class, thinking, remembering his sister. Even if my class changed, what I have to do is the same. Reach the top and go beyond it. Just wait for me a little longer. Starting today, I am in the upper class. He walks in and goes, are there people here? Hey, everyone, Kurono goes. I will be in your care from today. I am Kurono. Our boy cuts in. Morning, Kurono. Did you practice that greeting? Kurono gets flustered, obviously did not practice anything, and asks, by the way, is this really the upper class? A girl with purple hair speaks up. That is right. You are the students who passed the promotion exam, right? Welcome. I am Takahata. I am the first-year homeroom teacher. Alright, let us start class right away. Kurono asks about the other students. Takahata says, of course they are enrolled, but they are trainees in teams contracted with the academy. Kurono goes, they go on missions. Takahata answers, there are a few restrictions, but they do fight monsters. Honestly, with your grades, it is impossible for now. Arya asks, what do we need to do to become trainees? Takahata says, I get your enthusiasm, but first we need to verify your abilities. Escaping the lower class and the trial to prove yourself in the upper class are not the same level, right? Looks like I need to see it with my own eyes to believe it. She walks over and wakes up a sleeping guy. Wake up, Nekata. Time to work. He sits up, grumbling. What is with the surprise attack? This is a guy named Nakata Toji. Takahata tells him, give these newcomers a little tough love. At the training grounds, Takahata announces, you two will have a match against this man. Kurono is shocked, and Nakata goes, do we really have to do this? Takahata says, if you perform well, I will add some points to your terrible scores. Nakata shrugs, alright, I will go in at about 30%. He starts releasing his power, and Kurono is stunned at how huge it is. She and our boy keep blocking that pressure. Our boy is thinking, mana release is not supposed to allow precise control, which means he can control mana with the same force as a full release. I could not absorb it all with the reverse magic circle. So this is the level of the upper class. Kurono cannot believe the power gap is that big, and that they still need way more training. Our boy says, Kurono, can you give me a little time? At the cafeteria, Kurono is sitting with a mountain of food, super happy. This was so sudden. I never thought Arya would come to a place like this. Our boy goes, if I do not eat sweets, my muscle mass drops. Also, you will burn out if you stay tense, non-stop. Kurono thinks to herself, maybe Arya is trying to cheer me up in his own way. Then Arya says, Kurono, there is something I want you to know. Kurono nods. The reverse magic circle and flipping mana flow. So that is Arya's power. Honestly, dealing with monsters still freaks me out, but I trust you, Arya. I think what matters is how you use your power. On the bus, a voice echoes, how careless he is. He does not even realize death is closing in. Suddenly, a massive light appears and the bus gets swallowed by it. All the passengers, our heroes included, are confused by the place they are in. They have been transported to a totally different dimension, a super strange space. Kurono steps up to calm everyone. Everyone, please calm down. We are chosen people. Rushing out recklessly is dangerous. We will scout the area, so do not wander off. This place is really... Arya speaks up. Yeah, we are inside a void pit. If my memory serves me right, the pit we passed did not hit us directly. Kurono goes. No way, then how do we get out? But they freeze when a voice rings out, full of malice. It has been a long time, humans. Suddenly, a huge army appears with their commander. Kurono is confused who they are. Our boy tells her. He is the one who planted the reflection mechanism in my body. Are you behind everything happening here? What is your goal? The creature says. If you want to know, come to me yourself. Follow me. Kurono asks Arya, what does that mean? Was he not supposed to be an ally? Our boy says, I do not get his true intentions either. Kurono, protect the bus. A massive battle kicks off between our boy and those soldiers. He wipes them out. The monster laughs. Looks like you have started to understand your traits a little, but you still have a long way to go. A huge monster with 2 swords shows up, aiming to finish our boy. He triggers his ability to defend, but he is getting pushed hard and thinks. He is on a totally different level than the others. I cannot hold out like this. Suddenly, Kurono steps in to help, but the shocker is the monster stabs her with his sword. Our boy snaps, unleashes everything at him, then the monster slices off both of our boy's arms. He is stunned, frozen, thinking, my hands, what do I do now? Like this, is this my end? The monster speaks. What is wrong, human? Are you one of those who refuse to submit? Were you not supposed to be strong, bending to no one? Our boy can barely move, down on the ground, but thinks, I am still breathing. I will not give up. I will not let myself feel this helpless ever again. He unleashes reflection of magic flow at full power. The monster stares, shocked. Even after all that, he is still standing at full power. The amount of magic I can absorb is reaching its limit. Our boy keeps forcing himself up, to the point, his arm regenerates in a brutal way, and he gathers a massive amount of power. Seeing that, the monster says, good, now that is more like him. Our boy is stunned at his own power. What is with this hand? The feeling is no different from my original one, it even feels lighter. He charges the soldier and lands a hit, then thinks, I do not care what this is, I will use everything I can. And suddenly, this monster soldier transforms into something super terrifying. Our hero is totally shocked and thinks to himself, this hardness and muscle strength isn't human level. This is, but out of nowhere, the monster spits something from its mouth and manages to hit him. Our hero puts his hand on the wound and says, another intense battle breaks out between him and this monster, but the fight stops when the monster leader shows up and says, excellent. Our hero asks him, what are you planning? The monster leader replies, that's enough, don't look at me like that. The monster leader starts pulling from Kurono and says, I created body tissue through mana transformation. My mana transformation can't be compared to humans. That girl's body should be more flexible now. Our hero says, you attack us, then help us. The monster leader explains, you've gained a new power too, haven't you? This power is magical absorption, the ability to develop your absorption trait and integrate magical power into your body. It changes shape according to your will. It can even mimic human forms. Our hero asks, don't tell me you did all this to awaken this power. The monster leader answers, don't misunderstand. You could have fallen here too. You resisted and survived, that's all. I apologize, but I can't stay in one place for long. Aim for greater heights. For my sake too. Our hero narrates that after that, they and the bus returned to their original city, and Kurono, who was injured, was also taken to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor tells our hero, the tests show she's healthier than health itself. Understand, it's probably just exhaustion. She should wake up after getting some rest. The next morning at school, there's a note that reads, the following student must see the principal immediately, Arya Sumeragi. In the principal's office, our hero enters and finds the principal sitting with Takahata, and next to her is a green-haired person. She says, this person is the leader of the Special Operations Unit in the National Demon Combat Legion. Our hero is completely confused. Takahata explains that monster fighting agencies have several systems, corporations, governmental, large corporations, and so on. But the National Demon Combat Legion is the most prominent government system, an elite group with high-level skills nationwide. The green-haired person says, happy to meet you, I'm Kurono Subaru. I came today to get to know you and explore your potential. I heard my silly sister is always under your care. He realizes this person is Kurono's older brother and welcomes him. Subaru approaches him and says, I've heard a lot about you from my sister, that you're very special, which honestly caught my attention. Our hero thinks to himself, when I think about it, Kurono doesn't have a good relationship with her family. Would she really tell her family about this? Hard to imagine. Takahata tells him, the decision is yours, but this opportunity shouldn't be missed. Even in this school, only one person gets called up every few years. Our hero asks to join as a trainee. At that moment, our hero is thinking to himself, first, I'll enter their circle. I can investigate the reasons later. but if there's a chance to get closer to people at the national level, I'll never let it slip away. At the National Demon Combat Legion headquarters, our hero stands thinking to himself, I've seen this place a million times in the news and online. I never imagined there'd be a day when I'd enter the main building myself. Subaru asks him, shall we enter? Arya replies, yeah, but as our hero starts walking one way, Subaru stops him and directs him another way, saying, this above-ground building is just a symbolic decoy for the media. Any tall tower would be an easy target if attacked, right? Our real headquarters is. Our hero enters and sees massive things, electronics, and technology he's never seen before. Subaru then says, are you surprised? This place also functions as a construction site for evacuation shelters, even though it can't accommodate more than 1% of the population. A highly advanced train arrives, and Subaru says to Arya, get in, I'll explain as we go. Even inside the train there's a monitoring room. Time is valuable, so let's start your orientation right away. The primary function of the National Demon Combat Legion is hunting demons and sealing dimensional rifts, but our Special Operations Unit has another main mission. Our mission is to uncover the secrets behind these phenomena. What is the demon's goal? What happens to people swallowed by dimensional rifts? We investigate these questions. Our hero doesn't understand anything, so Subaru starts explaining. The demons that emerge from dimensional rifts don't think and don't have digestive systems. In other words, they don't attack humans intentionally, nor do they want to eat them. We see their role as more like guardians, protecting the dimensional rifts. When our hero sees a specific location on the screen, he remembers his sister. Subaru continues, dimensional rifts keep expanding until the deepest demon in them is defeated. And at the moment they stop expanding, they swallow all people in the area and disappear. What could be the true purpose of these rifts? Our hero says, there are many theories, but I think they might be tools for kidnapping large numbers of people. Subaru laughs provocatively and explains what's on the screen. That's actually consistent with our assessment. Now, this is confidential. This man was swallowed by a dimensional rift 5 years ago during an operation while qualified, and was recently spotted and captured. He's currently detained under our supervision. We see a person sitting and restrained. Our hero can't believe what he's seeing and asks, he's detained. You mean to say? Subaru continues, exactly, he probably returned from another dimension, and that's considered important evidence for solving the mysteries of the other world. But unfortunately, he lost his ability to speak. Well, linguistics, information, engineering, magical powers, we've gathered experts from all fields and tried every method. At that moment, this person looks toward the screen. Our hero is shocked and thinks to himself, did he look at us? Subaru tells him, strange. He's never interacted with the cameras before. Could he sense something? After analyzing his brain, the memory fragments we were able to extract were these. We see that this person has transformed into a terrifying monster and is searching for something called the powerful vessel. Our hero is very surprised because this doesn't sound like normal human speech. Subaru tells him, someone with intelligence unlike ordinary demons. What we call a high-class demon. Clearly, they're looking for this powerful vessel. Looks like we've arrived. When they enter the place, our hero is surrounded by men from all directions and says menacingly, what does this mean? Subaru tells him, members of the National Demon Combat Legion are under constant surveillance to prevent any violations, and the members' families are also monitored. According to reports, my sister entered a dimensional rift with you recently and came out alive. And it seems you acquired a strange power in a short time. Arya asks him, what exactly are you implying? Subaru says, the one who returned from the other dimension that I showed you earlier. We found him attacking people around him indiscriminately. His strength was much higher than what was recorded 5 years ago. And when we examined his body, we discovered that parts had been replaced with non-human components. If the demon's goal is the powerful vessel, meaning finding humans they can use as military power, then we must act immediately. I need you to answer my question. Who exactly are you? We see Arya asking Subaru if this is his decision alone or not. Subaru tells him, we're part of the organization. Naturally, the higher-ups approved from the beginning. In the end, it's difficult to touch outsiders. But even if there's just a 1% possibility, we must act if there's any suspicion. Arya thinks to himself, so in short, even if I escape from here, they'll still keep watching me. Then, Arya tells him, let me clarify something. I'm on humanity's side. Subaru is shocked at that moment. We see Kurano angrily telling Takahata, this doesn't make sense. Why is Arya the only one being summoned? I was in the same place. If there's punishment, I should also. Takahata tells her, you misunderstand, Kurano. Arya isn't being punished. On the contrary, this is something to celebrate. He's been offered to join the Special Operations Unit in the National Demon Combat Legion. Wait, don't tell me your brother didn't tell you anything. Kurano is shocked by what she's hearing. Back with Arya and Subaru, who is saying, I'll ask you as a precaution. Do you intend to surrender? Arya tells him, if I did that, you'd imprison me for life like him, right? But suddenly, the guards start releasing power at our hero and trying to restrain him, but they can't. Subaru is very shocked by our hero's strength and then shouts, all units, take combat position. Move to control him. Indeed, all the soldiers begin to advance to capture our hero and control him, but our hero surprises them by drawing a sword and skillfully fighting them all. Subaru is shocked and thinks to himself, he has magical integration and control over magic, his ability to adapt in combat. This isn't normal. Then he says loudly and menacingly, all of you, change your position to support me. I'm going to unleash magical restraint. At that moment, our hero thinks to himself, the whole place is shaking. Subaru becomes a huge monster and says, I'll show you something special. The power of the Special Operations Unit leader. Our hero is shocked and says, this is the ultimate form of magic control, Aramitama. But this monster approaches and says, if you want to live, bow before me. Suddenly, the monster hits our hero and sends him flying. He's shocked and thinks to himself, and his attacks are heavy too. So this is the power of the Special Operations Unit leader. But if this is done through magic control, at that moment, he activates his ability to reflect the magic circle with full release, but this monster, with Subaru's help, is able to withstand our hero's ability. Our hero is shocked then. Subaru speaks and says, supply unit, give me more mana. Aramitama of the twin spirits. Just surrender now. Our hero is shocked and doesn't know what to do, then starts releasing his power, saying, I still don't understand exactly what this power is, or even who I really am, but I'm on humanity's side. His arm starts regenerating, shocking everyone present, who say he's not human. Subaru says at that moment, to protect this country, we must eliminate any possible danger. That's our duty. One of the soldiers speaks up and says, Captain, we've received an emergency signal. Meanwhile, with Takahata and Kurano, who's holding a sword to Takahata and asking her, is Mizuki coming here? Let me see my brother. Takahata is scared and tells her, I'm sorry, even if you're from the family. Kurano tells her, if the captain's own sister gets arrested, his reputation will be ruined, right? Tell my brother this if he doesn't want to lose his position. At the construction site planned for an evacuation shelter, workers are standing around when suddenly a monster attacks one of them and takes him out. Meanwhile, Kurano is standing in front of our hero, who looks shocked, while her brother says, causing a commotion at headquarters, you're a disgrace to the Kurano family name. Kurano tells him, I felt something was off. How was I suddenly selected by the National Demon Fighting Corps? Subaru responds, clearly, my instincts were right. There's a reason behind all this. Kurano asks him, you suspect he's working with demons? Something like that, right? Do you have any proof he's just a tool in a demon's hands? Subaru tells her, I just saw this guy display superhuman strength with my own eyes. Kurano argues, Arya might have incredible power, but did he use that power to attack you on his own? Didn't he use his power because circumstances forced him to? I understand the fear of demon power, but if he didn't harm anyone, then Arya is innocent. Hurting an innocent person without evidence. I won't allow that. Subaru snaps back. What do you know about any of this? Just then, they hear a voice announcing, attention all units. We've confirmed a strange spatial rift in Sector 23. Nearby soldiers must guide civilians to safety and deal with the spatial rift. Subaru commands, at a time like this, it's close by. Everyone to battle stations. Lock the doors and surround the sector. Any demon that passes through must be completely crushed. I'll go to the spatial rift alone. Kurano exclaims, you're going alone, brother. Subaru explains, the team will secure the sector and handle evacuation, while I deal with the spatial rift using the Aramitama. Under these circumstances, this is our best option. Our hero speaks up, Subaru, no captain, please allow me to accompany you as a member of the Special Operations team, and see, for yourself, who I really am. Subaru responds, understood, come with us. Kurano wants to go too, but Subaru tells her, what exactly are you? Enough already. Someone useless like you coming along won't make any difference. This makes Kurano really angry, causing a strange power to emerge from her. After calming down, she tells them, ever since I woke up, I've been feeling strange, like I'm unnaturally okay. Back at the construction site planned for the evacuation shelter, monsters are attacking all the workers. Our hero and the rest of the team arrive just in time and begin fighting all the monsters. Subaru stands thinking to himself, There are too many demons. I need to conserve my magic and take them all out using just one Aramitama. Kurano speaks up. Brother, you handle guiding people to evacuation and protecting the workers. Arya and I will crush the demons. We move faster than you, brother. Subaru says to her, you clearly think highly of this Arya guy. Kurano responds, you have doubts about him, but Arya is someone who can fight for others. I've been able to grow because of him, and I won't remain useless forever. She rushes off to help the workers and takes down a monster while checking on a worker. But another monster is about to attack her when our hero manages to defeat it and save her. At that moment, Subaru stands thinking sadly, remembering the past. Mitsuki believed Arya would definitely protect her. Mitsuki, who was always alone and crying, and started working with people. I thought it was better for Mitsuki to give up and not try to become a candidate. That was my thinking, to create a world where people like Mitsuki don't need to fight. That was my dream,